the Jets taking on the Bears, and who the hell knows who the quarterback of the Bears was going to be. There was a moment in time yesterday where it's it Trevor Siemian, it's Nathan Peterman, it's Jim McMahon. I don't know who the hell was going to be the quarterback of the Bears. It ultimately didn't matter. The Jets rolled over Chicago because without Justin Fields, they are a less than ordinary team. I mean, come on. They got one of the most exciting players in the NFL right now, and they still couldn't win with him healthy. They got no chance with Justin Fields not playing. The defense was dismantled via trade. They're not tanking per se, but they're thinking about the future more than they're thinking about the present. The Jets thinking about the present because they entered the game 6-4. They benched Zach Wilson, still an issue of controversy for some, but the bottom line is Mike White came in and he did everything that he needed to do. And that was the issue with Zach Wilson. He wasn't doing the little things, the easy things. He was failing in the easy aspects of the game. He was trying, as we explained last week, to be Patrick Mahomes. He was trying to make the spectacular throw. The other stuff's boring to him. This is all part of the maturity process he's got to go through, and they're forcing him to mature by removing him from the action. He wasn't even in uniform yesterday. What a slap in the face that is, but he's got to humble himself. He's got to go back to the basics, hit the reset button, and meanwhile, the task gets a little more difficult if Mike White, who told me yesterday he learned those lessons himself because he had the great performance against the Bengals last year when they wanted to make him the permanent quarterback and put him in the Hall of Fame all at once. Then he had the short week Thursday night game against the Colts where he got injured. Then he had the game against the Bills, which was just an embarrassing, humiliating 45-17 loss. He told me he learned you can't play hero ball. You can't try to win with every throw you make. You have to take what's there. You have to run the offense. You have to stay even-keeled. He learned last year what they're trying to teach Zach Wilson now. And as Mike White applies it, Myles, it makes it harder for Zach Wilson to earn his way back onto the field. That's the balance here. Zach Wilson can learn everything he needs to learn and be ready to go. But what are you going to do? You're going to bench Mike White if he keeps playing like he did yesterday? Hell no.
Oh, look at that. Look at that wink. Yeah, that's a dude that knows. That's a dude that knows what he's about to go do. I think it's interesting because last year I was intrigued by Mike White. I thought that the game he got hurt against the Colts was a Thursday night game. And the way he was piloting that offense in that first drive that he had, it seemed like he was really playing very well within himself and within that scheme. And that's exactly what I saw yesterday from him. Now, he wasn't necessarily trying to force many throws. He wasn't trying to do things that were outside of the structure. He was on time and on target. And we were in an offense like that. You know, that LaFleur offense that we've seen from Kyle Shanahan and, Mike LaFleur's brother, Matt LaFleur, runs it in Green Bay. All you need to do is hit the open guy because there's going to be a guy open most times, right? Or sometimes you might need to hit that open, that tight window throw, and you can do it. But, I mean, right there, a guy's college open, and if a guy's college open, you have to hit him. And when you have an elite receiver, give him a chance. Look at what Garrett Wilson can do with the ball when he has the ball in his hand. So it's one of those deals where, yeah, you see Mike White and you see him play within the structure of the offense. And yes, he's playing against the Chicago Bears. But, if you're going to try to ease somebody in and make sure that they can do the things that they need to do to win one game, like that's exactly what you want to see from him. So, I mean, I can understand why the Jets made the move. They kind of had to after you have your head coach calling the offense dog poo in a press conference, and he didn't say poo, right? So you had to make a change.
Only I didn't say
and if
fudge.
You're going to go to Mike White, then yeah, I think that's exactly the result that you want.
Well, here's the guy who called the offense 8 days ago dog poo, only he didn't say poo yesterday, talking about something that was the exact opposite of dog poo. Robert Saleh on the performance of Mike White.
I think Mike is able to process in a way where if that's what you give him, that's what he'll take. He'll play boring ball with you. He'll push the ball downfield if he has to, and he'll make very good decisions with the football, and he'll make them quick. He made the easy look easy, and that's I thought he did a really good job with that.
Something I've never noticed in all these years of doing this show and reacting to press conferences. Hey, Jets, iron out the wrinkles in your background. you got wrinkles there. You got bubbles. Pull it straight. Get an iron. Do something. It's very distracting. All right. It was very distracting to watch Zach Wilson try to play football. But the key is you make the easy look easy. That's what they wanted. There are ways to run an offense that are very simple. They are founded in your basic fundamentals, and that's what Zach Wilson has lost sight of. He's got to get back on that horse. He's got to hit that reset button, as I said. And Mike White, who went more than a year without playing, was able to do that while he progressed. And he built confidence along the way. He went from being the guy who was not dressing on game days. He was the backup to Joe Flacco when Zach Wilson was injured early in the year. Then he goes to number 3. Then at some point along the way, he supplants Joe Flacco to number 2. You know, I remember, Myles, you caught on, and this was a brilliant observation by you when Sam Ehlinger was climbing the ladder in Indy. You had an instinct of what was going to happen, and it did until it didn't. Until they decided that, well, maybe the old man gives us a better chance to actually win football games. But I think when Mike White jumped Joe Flacco, that was the sign that maybe they're not real happy with where Zach Wilson is, and maybe they're getting more comfortable with where Mike White is, and it was just a matter of time, and lo and behold, here we are. And, you know, it's a tough spot for Mike White. I talked to him for a good 7 minutes yesterday after the game, which is, as these conversations go, that's a fairly long time. Yes. And he understands there's this balance between teammate, and he said, I view Zach Wilson as a friend before teammate. But you're a teammate and you're supportive. Backup quarterback, you're supposed to support the starter, right? And he's the starter who's helping mentor and groom the young guy who was the starter. So you've got this supposedly symbiotic relationship, regardless of who's playing or who's not. And you've got this competitive relationship where I want to be the one on the field. I want it to be me. It's you, but I'm back here working, so it'll be me again. Sorry, you're my friend, you're my teammate, but I want you to be the one who's standing on the sideline, not me. And Mike White understands that. And he's, you know, he knows that Zach Wilson is trying. As they work through this friendship they have, Zach Wilson is also trying to convince Robert Saleh to say to Mike White, give the ball to Zach and go back and sit down. So it's just kind of a weird, awkward spot. And it sounds like everything's fine for now. But also, Mike White, I mean, he says he doesn't know. I didn't really buy it. And it's not his place to make the announcement. That he says he doesn't know that he's going to be the starter next week. I was kind of throwing the challenge flag a little bit on that. I think he knows. I just think he's being respectful of the fact that it's not for him to announce it. But I suspect he either has been told or has a very strong feeling. Or maybe would just be incredulous. Like, what do you mean I don't get to start another game after yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I would be pretty incredulous. You know, it's interesting because, like I said, I feel like Mike White does a good job of just playing within the scheme of the offense. And I think about what Zach Wilson said publicly a few weeks ago, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, where he was saying that when I get out of the structure of the offense, I want to make a big play. I don't want to just throw the ball away. I want to make something happen. And it's, well, you can't always do that. You have to know when the play is dead, and you have to make sure that you get out of that and you live to see another down. And that's not something that he was doing. And he also was just not making the easy plays. I think back to what Chris Ballard said about Carson Wentz after the disaster of the finish that was the 2021 Colts season, where it was just make the layups, right? I mean, that's the same thing that Robert Saleh is basically saying. Mike White makes the easy look easy. So if you have those kinds of things from one quarterback and you're not seeing them from the other quarterback, then yeah, I understand why you have to put in the quarterback that's going to do it, that's going to play within the structure of the offense, that is going to execute the plan that you have to defeat a certain defense. And we'll see what happens with Mike White. Right? I mean, you mentioned earlier too, the fact that he did not play very well against Buffalo Bills last year. That's a division rival. As another team that you're going to have to be able to do things against, and you're going to see different teams and they're going to approach you in different ways. How does Mike White adjust? I don't know if the fact that he has that experience of playing in there for a little bit and then not playing, how that's going to affect him now that he's going to be seeing different opponents, we assume. But he's still got work to do to show that he can be a quarterback that can not just take the Jets to the playoffs, because the Jets do look like a playoff team if they play offense like that, right? The defense, that's fine. It's the offense. Can you guys match what the defense is doing? But if you get there, then what are the adjustments that you make, and how are you going to be able to take the counter punches from teams that now see what you do on film? It's going to be an interesting way to see what's going on with the Jets the rest of the way.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.